Welcome back to Your Average Witch, where every Tuesday we talk about witch life, witch stories, and sometimes a little witchcraft. This week I'm talking with Cat Sketch, an artist and content creator on YouTube. We talk about ancestors, magical bathing, and family. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that B-Box subscriptions are open for 2025. Every month you get ingredients for the monthly spell, Clever Kim's Curios jewelry or an altar tool, a crystal, and of course a little treat because I like them. You also get access to the monthly Magic Marco Polo group, the Discord group, and the private Facebook group. Join now by visiting crepuscularconjuration.com and look for the link for B-Boxes. Now let's get to the stories. Kat, hello, welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you?
So good. I'm glad I finally made it and I'm here.
Me too. I've been waiting this for literally years. Waiting for this
Really?
for literally years.
You're like
So
one
yay,
of my
yay,
favorite
yay.
people.
You're one of mine.
Oh, we can't cry yet.
So, can you please introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are and what you do and where they can find you?
Hello. My name is Cat Sketch. I go by that artist name and I do beauty and makeup effects. I'm also quote unquote a content creator. I don't know how I feel about that label, but I have been creating videos for 15 years on YouTube. I was traditionally a portrait artist and watercolor painter that ran in my family, and I started representing that in social media on my account. And I also got to have the opportunity to work in the film makeup industry for like Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers. I originally came from California, and now I'm living in Houston, Texas. I consider myself like a spiritual practitioner. Um, where from my background, I'm culturally Japanese and Native American, and I mostly work with jars, ancestors, and nature. And I have some like flair audience and yeah, history with ghosts. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and mostly everywhere as Cat Sketch. And on Facebook, I'm Cat Sketch Fans.
Now, you said spiritual practitioner, so I'm guessing you don't call yourself a witch?
I feel like I have a lot of friends who consider themselves witches or pagans who are in that group. I feel like it's a lot of responsibility to give myself that label. So I definitely consider myself a spiritual practitioner. I don't go towards like the normal, what you would see of like Catholicism or Christianity. I grew up in the only type of religion that my family grew up with on my mom's side is she's a sect of Buddhism that's Shinto, and they work with a lot. Probably they'd be the closest considered to like witches. They work a lot with nature, ancestral altars, and offerings.
Okay, so what you said that you grew up in this. What kind of did any witch? I'm going to call it witchy because that's easier for me
Mhm.
to remember because that's the name of the show.
Yeah,
But were there any witchy things that happened when you were a kid?
for sure. Uh, so it all started with my grandmother. Uh, I don't know if this would be considered like a family curse or something, but she was one of 11 children that all had a rare virus and they passed away except for her and one sister out of 11 kids. And her and her sister, I know for sure my grandmother is the one that talks about she sees ghosts and practices Shinto, a sect of Buddhism, with her altar. And so they will even come to her, the ghosts of her dead ancestors, and speak to her, and she connects with them at her altar.
That happens to you too, right? Because I know part of the reason we started talking is because you were talking about it on your YouTube channel.
Oh yes, like I when I first moved away from my parents' house into my own apartment, I that apartment was so old and so haunted. It was in Pasadena, California, and it was like the oldest historical land in that town. And my house was a giant duplex. So it was a bigger house that they made into little apartments. And there was a lot of construction going around, and it really stirred up a lot of ghosts that would like mess with my ancestral pictures, throw them across the room, and stuff like that. And once I started talking about that on YouTube, that's when you came to me because we were already friends. And a lot of witches from across the world would email me, DM me on Facebook saying, "Hey, I think you're a witch because you're connecting to these ghosts."
Can you introduce us to your practice? Do you have any regular or consistent things that you do?
Um, so the one really big consistent thing that I do that has been passed down to me and my family is New Year's celebration. I know a lot of people, their biggest celebration may be like Christmas or Hanukkah and different things, but in my family, in the Japanese culture, we really celebrate New Year's, and we have certain vegetables and soups and foods we eat. So that has to be our first meal of the day in the new year. So you can't eat anything in the at midnight the day before on New Year's Eve. You have to eat this certain soup for breakfast the next day. And we clean and organize our altars, and we give offerings to our ancestors and pray for a good new year and for peace and harmony in our lives, and just clean the whole house and prepare for everything.
Is it the same New Year that like I celebrate?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I
because some
know
other.
some, yeah, because I know like Chinese New Year is a different
Mhm,
place. I'm not saying that's what you celebrate.
mhm.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying that
and
I know some people do.
yeah, that's the big one. And also, when a close family member has passed, we give something called a kodin, and it is a letter about maybe the person you've known in a note card, and we also put whatever money you have to offer to that person you know who has passed, or like maybe it's your friend's son that passed, is to help with the funeral expenses and to help them, and you give them food usually.
I think food is, and you're, I think food is a really big thing when someone dies in a lot of cultures.
Oh yeah, and in most Asian cultures, we're known to not say many like I love yous. We're not very affectionate publicly. And so food is that one key to like show how much you care about someone.
You know, I relate. That's how I tell people I love them too.
Yeah.
Can I make you something to eat? Okay, great.
Oh yeah.
Would you say your practice has changed your life?
For sure. I think that moment when I was publicly speaking about all of my ghostly encounters, and like they even go into my dreams, and I could hear ghosts like whispering in my ears and talking to me. And I was talking about this on my YouTube channel. Ever since that moment, I found like you, thank goodness I have you as a friend, and you help me find like a community of people that helps relate to me. And I feel more at peace in that I could really focus on any tasks I have at hand and overcome them. Like it feels like I'm not really good at meditating. I have ADHD. And I feel like being in a community of people like this really helps me uh, feel empowered.
Yay! Oh, good.
And consistent with the ADHD, consistency is so hard for me. So I do, like many people, like I'm really bad at consistency. Like every day I would love to have that time at night. At night is where I'm like a night owl, and I get that time to like myself to I wish I could have time every night to remember to light my incense, thank my ancestors, light a candle, stuff like that.
What would you say is the biggest motivator in your practice?
Definitely because this past year I just recently started going to therapy. Wait 1 second. I recently started going to therapy this year, and that has been life changing. I feel like I have given myself so many tests and challenges that my doctors have come at me with a lot of things that I need to not fix, but work at to better operate at my fullest capabilities. So, with that comes healing not only my body, I have a lot of things going on, but my mind. And that comes with healing my inner child, is the biggest main focus of this. And when I first came into the community of like spiritual practitioners and witches and paganism and all of this, these people are so beautiful inside out and wonderful and so open. I almost felt like I was in a, oh my gosh, I'm in like the cool kid club at school. Like when high school was around, I was never like in the popular kid group. I always jumped around and I never could fit into like the popular kid group. And I look up to so many people in these communities and I'm like, oh my gosh, these people actually want to listen to me and hear what I have to say and want to better understand me as a person. And every other group of friends I've had before that and sometimes families, I felt like an alien, like I didn't fit in and they weren't there to really fully understand me or get to know me.
Well, I think you're great.
Thank you.
What would you say is your biggest struggle with your practice?
Um, Definitely consistency and that shadow work. It's really easy with all of the jobs like I have with my own business and like I have other editing jobs some and stuff like that, and I've worked with in the film and movie industry with editing and being a content creator for them. It's really hard for me to find the time to do and connect with my ancestors and sit down and do my practice. I call it like my little meditation in the mornings and at nights, and where I sit with my ancestors and really let them know how much I appreciate their connection. And that's like my biggest struggle to remember to do that with everything that's going on in my life. And yeah.
Yeah, because it's not just you who has to worry about what you eat because your dog has allergies too.
Oh yeah, I tell my partner, I'm lucky enough my partner after I really got into um my culture and spiritualism, learning more about Shinto and like learning more practices of rituals of praying and like, trying to connect with nature and uh people in my life. Like my partner, I was lucky enough, we've been together for gosh, almost 10 years now. He was really thinking about it, and now he's considers himself pagan for the last 3 years or more. And I'm so lucky because me and him have similar um mental like ADHDs and anxieties and PTSD and stuff. And so I got really lucky that we could like connect on different levels in our relationship and in life. So it's like someone to help guide me.
That's cool. Would you say that you have imposter syndrome about your practice? And if you do, how do you beat it?
1,000,000%. I feel like I'm a big imposter, like Carmen Sandiego. Uh,
What?
because like
I never watched that.
really, it was kind of like Inspector Gadget, but like a more female representative one. And she had this beautiful burgundy coat. And she was an inspector, and you had to find out where in the world she was. And she gave you clues, like if she was in like Mexico or Norway or England.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that way in my brain, like because I have so many artistic creativities and talents that my brain is a big mash of things that like um it's really hard. I was diagnosed when I went back to therapy recently. I had a wonderful therapist and psychiatrist, and I was diagnosed with inattentive ADHD. It really like helped everything come into place. So my mind is like a lot of thoughts and me talking to myself all at once. And the same with my practice. It's really hard for me to find time to sit down and work on my brain with my business, my personal life, and uh, with my practice. So that's like my biggest struggle.
How do you
And I
beat
get
it?
the most, oh yeah, the imposter syndrome. I just try to keep doing things. And even if I'm not perfect or great at it, at least I'll produce something with a little bit of dents in it. Because I think a lot of people, when they are really good at different things, they want to perfect every single thing. But as long as you're okay at it and it's to your liking and you're creating something creative, you're improving. You know, when we draw, we're not all going to be the next big famous artist. I think if you just keep trying at something, especially with therapy, like I know I say, I'm going to probably mention this a lot because not everybody could afford therapy. I know that's a luxury. And a lot of times, like when I couldn't afford therapy, what before I started to get back into it, I would try to learn something new. And even if I wasn't good at it, like woodbirding, even Duolingo app at languages, Spanish, Japanese, like I'm not going to be a perfectionist at it, but I'm still learning. And that gives me the power to step outside of that imposter syndrome, just learning a little at a time.
That's good. What brings you the most joy in your practice?
I think because I do consider like my artworks and creativity as like a magical part of my practice because honestly, me as a person, I don't think I could have children as deep as this kind of gets. And I can't really pass down my skills and capabilities to the next generation in my family. But I think me recording these videos on YouTube and having these social media platforms is going to impact other people's lives and show that they could make a difference in the world with just some thing that they might not think is remarkable about themselves, even if they just speak to the camera about something they really love.
That's nice. What's something you did early in your practice that you don't do anymore, and why don't you?
So, definitely before, I feel like a lot of people when they started, I guess I shouldn't speak for the majority of people when they go to spiritualism, it's kind of like not a fad, but at points it was really popular and a lot of people were like putting all of their crystals under the sun or the moon and smudging. I definitely don't smudge anymore, especially with the white sage, because I feel like it was kind of like giving things out to trick or treaters and every metaphysical shop and spooky like ghost stores I would go to in California. They all had like bundles and bundles of white sage to smudge. And even though I'm native, Cher- my family is Cherokee. That doesn't necessarily give me the right to use their medicines in my practice. And Florida water. I know a lot of people use Florida water and love it, which I'm not knocking anybody that does because it's really helpful for people, especially the smell and like how they use it in their practice. But for me personally, the smell never connected to me, and I would love to make my own Florida water from the plants and the things around me where I live.
You should.
Yeah. Like I would love to have a Florida water that smells like pine and clove and like things that are locally sourced near me and that I grew up with too, because I always grew up camping in forests with my family too.
What is your favorite tool? And it does not have to be a physical thing. It can be like a song or a scientific theory, whatever. What is it and how do you use it?
So my favorite tool to practice with is something physical. Um, it's either my altar where I have my ancestral pictures at and everything that I actually found on Facebook Marketplace, and I actually like got an injury from it, but I'm fine now. Or I would have to say, as weird as this sounds, it'd be like a shower, because those are places where I meditate and connect and kind of like revitalize and cleanse my soul and spirit. Because I'm not really good at just like sitting in a room meditating. The shower really does help. And I've actually connected to the spiritual world through it and heard from recent family members that have passed away. And it's not like they're looking on at me naked or anything. It's them on the other side of the shower curtain, and they're speaking to me about all their worries and everything that they've lived through.
That's cool.
Right? That was like the first time I've tapped into this recent year or so.
How do you pull yourself out of a magical slump?
So there's a lovely uh, pagan person in our community named Amber, and we call her Teddy Ted Talk in the Marco group, if anyone's in the Marco group with Kim. And she always has this quote that I always remember. It says, "Control your controllables."
Oh.
And I always have a difficult with like time thinking about how other people perceive me and how I can't control that, and how that often gets me in a magical slump. And especially with my brain and how it works, I'm thinking of too many things. It's hard for me to process what's priority. And when Amber reminds me of that, it like really helps ground me and like simplify my brain and how it processes.
That's cool. Amber, you helped us.
Yes. I also think that, like I said, when I first came in this community, it was all these amazing people like you, Rachel from Anahata's, Charlie and Macy from Witch Pajamager Hour. And like I felt like, ooh, it's so intimidating, like such powerful people, you know? And I feel like I could easily get into a slump or a low period. Or I think with the internet, even though it has like connected all of us, sometimes we forget that we start doing the comparing and contrasting. And sometimes people could get jealous or envious. And like it kind of makes our brains try to separate us, because it's a lot of information at once. Like I never knew that the advancement in these technologies would like have us feel a little bit more separate. I thought we would all be more like in control, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it could easily put me in that slump in a low period, because I'm like, well, look at all these magical things that my friend's small business and all the things she's accomplishing and doing. And I'm like, what have I done though lately? Like, I'm just trying to tread water and keep my head afloat.
Well, there's that saying that I love: comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
I love that. I don't love the fact, but I love the saying.
In any type of community of people and friendships, that's like one of the most important things.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are we all psychic?
What are spirit guides and angels?
What is energy healing?
What's a ghost?
Do I have a soul contract?
What's a soul even?
Hello, Voyagers. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Frank.
And we started Clairvoyaging podcast when our 5-year-old niece correctly predicted the death of a stranger.
We decided that it was time to learn more about things that can't be easily explained.
Join us as we interview psychics and experts about the basics of esotericism and try to enhance our intuitive abilities.
Come for the development, stay for the underdeveloped jokes.
Clairvoyaging Podcast. Normalize your spiritual journey with us on any podcast platform.
What is something you wish was discussed more in the witchy community?
Definitely mental health and how to separate like the signs of like, well, maybe I need to work on this with my practice, and maybe this is just something I need to seek a professional. Like, by all means, I have teas for all of my issues on inflammation and stuff like that, but sometimes your body just needs to see a professional when it comes to physical or mental health. And also, like, on a lot of these spaces, this is kind of a hard, touchy subject to talk about. There's not many cultures represented. It's mostly like of like white females presented.
Yep.
Or white American energy. And I think that it's not shared a lot of other cultures in their practices with spiritualism or witchcraft or whatever alternative practice that they do, because some of us have a fear of it being changed and sold and profited off of. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like that's a really hard thing to talk about. And in Asian cultures, where a lot of a lot of people take our things and put it into practices with spiritualism or even merchandise. And a lot of people are lucky because we are very forgivable and we are very open to sharing our culture with other people. But we should just have the open mind to make new friends, because you could kind of get the hint if they're into a different spiritual practice. Because if you go to them like asking them a million questions and that they feel the need that they need to be your teacher, that's a lot. Like, just because I'm Japanese Native American and I can't speak for everyone in that culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope that wasn't too heavy.
I hope I didn't do that to you.
Oh no, not at all. Let me tell you, because there's 6 signs. Like, I will have white friends that have told me, well, you're lucky you look white because you should be sitting in the back of the theater with the other Asian ladies that are all chatting. And I didn't know them, I knew her. Or they would think my Japanese mother, because I could be white passing. If you see like my videos on YouTube and everything, my mother is full Japanese and she has dark complected skin. And they all thought she was my nanny when I grew up. And my mother's also a lot older. She had children a lot older. And whenever my friends would complain about my mother's cooking or her, that's one of the signs. And also in dating aspects was they like to sexualize Asian females and fetishize us. And if they talk about like, oh, you're Japanese, what's your favorite Hello Kitty anime? I don't really consume much anime. There's probably like less than 5 that I've ever really got into. You know what I mean? It's like they put these expectations on me, and you've never made me feel like that.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I would say something, because I know that you care so much about the people you keep in your life and your friendships and community to make them feel comfortable, that you would want me to tell you.
You are
Because,
correct.
yeah, and I would want you to know that to help you communicate with others and improve yourself and your business. most
Well,
important
good.
one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about the three biggest influences on your practice. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be something that happened to you once. It can be a pet or a book. What are the
hmm
three biggest influences on your practice? And then I want you to thank them for how they've changed you or how they influence you.
There's two people and one thing. Definitely my partner, Corey. We've been together for 9 years, and just these last past 3 years, he's really dived into paganism. In his cultural background, he found out that his family is Norwegian, and he's getting into Norwegian cooking and just his practices and his everyday rituals. And he reminds me how much I need to ground myself and immerse myself in nature. We will go on hikes. He set up a fire pit in our backyard where he has his runes and his prayers. And he also helps me sort my brain out. He's kind of my living Amber Teddy TED Talk, where I'm like, I need help sorting this out. I really want to do this in my practice, but I have this and this on my list. And I'm just so grateful for him because he would, um, you and Corey were like one of the biggest people to make me, I forget to take care of myself. And you guys remind me to take care of myself and look at it from an outsider's perspective on things that I need help on, because I don't look from past traumas, I don't look at areas where I need to ask for help.
Yeah,
So
if you're
you
raised to do things by yourself, it's hard to remember that.
exactly. And definitely my grandmother, like, oh my gosh, she just like, even now, like she says, if my mind ever goes, she's 97 years old. She survived the Japanese concentration camps. That's where she met her husband, and she was in the Japanese concentration camps till she was around 14, like 12 to 14. And she's been through so much. She was a child, one of 11 kids. Her father was had disabilities, and she had to start working and quit school in middle school to work for her family. And just how she shows me how much like the things that I struggle with and the differences I have should be celebrated. She never pressured me to. A lot of people my age are having kids, and she never pressured me to give her grandkids, to get married and like do all these things for her. She just expects me to be myself. So, Grandma Yoshi, if you want to learn more about her, I have this video series on YouTube called the Yoshi Project or Grandma Yoshi Project. It's one of those two. About her time in the concentration camps. I interview her. I do traditional Japanese makeup. It's really interesting. If you go to the Japanese American Museum in Los Angeles, California, you could ask someone if you would like to see. Her name is Yoshiko Irie, Iriye Yoshiko. That's pretty easily to understand, I think. And her pictures will be in the museum. And she's just had such a big impact on not only my life, but like anyone who's met her. And she's 97 years old now, and she's just got her first pacemaker in, and I still call her every week or so. And she's my biggest influence in my practice and to be myself. And I'm actually trying to learn Japanese for her.
I really enjoyed that video. So highly recommend everybody
Thank
go
you.
check it out. In fact, I will try and remember to link it down below.
And also, my biggest influence is my inner child. I have a drawing at my altar of myself when I was in Girl Scouts. And I think a lot of times I forget that how far I've come and how grateful I am. Because if my child self saw myself today and actually be able to feel safe and secure, somewhat secure in a home with family and friends and people I love. Like I would have never thought that from my past that I could achieve any of that.
I'm glad you have it now.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for new practitioners?
Don't feel too pressured. When I first started learning about tarot, oracle, all these wonderful magical things that are in communities, runes, meetups, um, felt so overwhelmed. But I would get what you are, what you're drawn to, and get beginners to those. Like the Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Rocks, Minerals, and he has one of herbs.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I would like I still am very not knowledgeable of tarot, but I love oracle decks so much. So just take it easy on yourself. Don't feel too much pressure. Just pick up one thing at a time. And the right people, like there are some people in the community, not a lot, but that feels like they're intimidating in spaces where it feels like they're questioning you, or they may feel like you're a newer person to the spiritual community. But the right ones will be the ones who want to help you, share with you, and never mock you.
Who do you think I should have on the show next?
I mean, if we could summon Stevie Nicks, but I don't know how possible
Hello.
that is. I like Queen Irby. Is it Irby? That musical
Me
singer.
too.
Her recent Halloween albums that are so witch, like Bats in the Belfry, and I've met her in person and she is a
What?
sweetheart. Yeah, okay. I went to one of these makeup conventions and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I know that person." And she was going by another stage name. And she looked at me, she's like, "Can I get a picture with you?" I'm like, "Excuse me?"
Cat.
And then she says, "I am not kidding. I could call my husband right now and he will let you know that I have your makeup pictures on my computer desktop screen that I always look at, my favorite ones."
That's so cool.
And she gave me her number and I was too scared to ever call her, like if she wanted to hang out
Aw.
or something. And we were both too nervous to even like text each other or set up a date or anything for coffee or anything. But I was just blown away.
That is so cool.
I know.
I don't know how to get in touch with her. I would love to have her on the show.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's the same number or
Oh,
what.
I'm not asking.
That was like,
I'm not
okay.
asking that.
Okay, cool, because that was like
That's a
over
lot.
12 years ago.
That would be a lot. That is so cool. I didn't know that.
I know. That happens to me sometimes. And like one time I had to do a job with Lisa Love, who's the personal makeup artist for Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. Worked on Terminator Genesis for their online makeup tutorials at Paramount Pictures. And I had to interview her how to recreate Terminator Genesis makeup looks for an audience that was simple to do for Halloween looks. And she says, "I've seen a lot of your videos. I am such a big fan. I'm so nervous to meet you and talk to you." I'm like, "Are you
Aw,
kidding me?"
that's so neat.
Right?
Is there anything else you wanted to bring up? Anything I didn't ask? Anything you wanted to talk about? Anything, any questions for me? Anything that you want to promote that you're going to do soon?
So I am working on an upcoming Yule Creepmas like video where I'm setting up kind of like a dinner party. One of the main things I should have said about myself is I'm really into cooking, especially with like the Asian culture. We show our love through cooking, and that's been passed down to me. And I also have a lot of food allergies, so I'm always cooking for myself. And my partner's lucky enough that he gets to have some of the food I cook. and I hope I do a good job because I'm trying to recreate foods that I enjoyed before I found out I had all these food allergies, and I found out 10 years ago. So I'm doing this Yuletide warm, comforting video coming up where I'm making my own homemade bread, soups, cakes. I'm doing face paintings in it, building trees out of pickles, crazy things. So I'm trying to transition right now into more of a craft, DIY, and all types of art, not just beauty makeup, because my 15 years on YouTube have been like traditional art drawing or beauty makeup. And I took a year off to get myself in therapy, get all the doctor's appointments set. And so now I'm back and coming back with a revitalized self and rebranding, I guess some people call it.
That's cool. So the last two things I ask of my guests are thing number one, please recommend something to the listeners.
I would suggest to try something new, whether it's a new food, an event near you, uh, like even me and my friends are doing Duolingo because we're planning for my 40th birthday to all go to Japan. So we're all trying to learn
Eee!
Japanese. And you're not going to be, I don't expect myself to be an expert at it, but just practicing little by little things and stepping outside of the comfort zone because fortunately, sometimes when you learn new things, it's a little uncomfortable. But if you have, that's my dog.
She's just excited.
But if you have a support team and community, it's like makes it 10 times better.
Nice. So the last thing is, please tell me a story.
Okay. So I've been talking a lot about my grandma because she's really close to me. And one time it was summer and she wears like one of those leisure suits, but it's all white, like matching pants in the top. And my mom was like, you could kind of see something through her white pants. And it was like she had bumps on her legs or something. Like my mom didn't know she injured herself. My grandmother lives alone. She stopped driving at like 93. And so my mom's like, what's wrong with your pants? Like your legs, there's like, I could see something in your pants. Like, let me lift it up. And my mom was trying to lift up her pant leg to look at if she injured herself. And my grandma was like, no, no, no. And my mom was like, no, I need to see what's going on. What if you hurt yourself? Because my grandma's been known, unfortunately, if she hurts herself, she'll try to hide it. So she lifts up the pant leg, and there's, those alphabet magnets on refrigerators?
Yeah.
She taped those with scotch tape to her legs because she said it helps with arthritis, she heard.
The magnets?
Yes, the refrigerator magnets that are the alphabets for kids.
Oh no.
She scotch taped that with just regular
Oh,
scotch tape for
no.
wrapping paper on her legs because she heard that magnet's good for arthritis.
All right. Oh no.
And she's done that with banana peels. Like we saw ants crawling into her bathroom, and we're like, are you infested with some sort of bugs and ants? There's like a trail of ants. And she had like banana peels in a cupboard because she heard there was a Korean method of putting banana peels on your face that'll help your collagen and less wrinkle.
I think I'm just going to take the wrinkles.
She just have rotting banana peels.
Oh gosh. Well, thanks for being on the show and finally talking to me.
I know.
Okay, so everybody be sure to go down below, click all the links, follow, like, subscribe. Definitely go check out Grandma Yoshi's story. And that's it. I will see you on Marco Polo. Bye.
Bye. See you soon.
Cat,
Yes.
welcome to Hive House, your home.
Yay. The friends that I could wear my moo-moos around, spread out, stretch, take the bra off.
I got my cards, so say when.
I love her. She's like, I think she's witchy and she's a queen. I would probably grab some type of weapons like a sword. I need some sort of like MacGyver crafting kit. I need a to-go spiritual altar, snacks, and a journal.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What is something you wished more people asked you about? To hear more of the members-only episode, head over to crepuscularconjuration.com. The monthly magic tier will give you access to the monthly Magic Marco Polo group, the private Facebook group, and access to the written monthly spells. There's also Crepuscular Conjurations, giving you bonus podcast episodes, coloring pages, guided meditations, spellcrafting videos, printable downloads, and a lot more. The free Witchy Wonderment level will give you a little sample of everything I just mentioned. You can also visit my shop, Clever Kim's Curios, to get spell boxes one at a time or by monthly subscription, intentional handcrafted jewelry that I make especially for witches, and handmade altar tools. You can even listen to the full Your Average Witch podcast library, including show notes and transcripts. Check it out at crepuscularconjuration.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of Your Average Witch. You can find us all around the internet on Instagram at Your Average Witch Podcast, facebook.com/groups/hivehouse, at www.youraveragewitch.com, and at your favorite podcast service. If you'd like to recommend someone for the podcast, like to be on it yourself, or if you'd like to advertise on the podcast, send an email to youraveragetwitchpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next Tuesday.